What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another segment of HR Heretics. Kelli, before we get into this one, today is January 9th, and fires are raging in Los Angeles. Last I checked a couple of hours ago, we're still at 0% containment. I know of a couple of friends who have been evacuated. I know of more friends who are like super scared right now. I know this is not what we sign up for when we do this podcast, right? Like we talk about tech, we talk about HR stuff. People come to us for a distraction. And so we'll try and get to that in a second. But before we do, I just want to tell everybody that our hearts are going out to you. Like this is an unbelievable situation happening in one of the biggest cities in our country. Like it's truly like unfathomable to see these photos of Malibu and the Palisades. Like it's crazy to me. And so before we get into this, I just want to say it feels a little bit trite for us to just be on like a normal podcast schedule compared to like what's going on in the world right now. And so I just want to say that my family, we're praying for you all. And I put this out on LinkedIn earlier today, but seriously, like if you're a listener and you're impacted and you're evacuated and you need a place to go, we have two rooms at my house. I also have two very loud children who can either view it as like I'm going to take your mind off of this thing or like distract you in maybe good, maybe bad ways. But please ping me. We would love to host you here.
Yeah. Thanks, Nolan. I agree. Happy New Year, everyone, first of all. And Nolan, it's been brutal watching this over the past, couple days. And I think I mentioned I recently took on an interim chief people officer role here at Quizlet in San Francisco. And we have, I think, about 30 employees in LA. And we were reaching out to every single one of them today. And it's just been evacuations and how we can support them. And I don't know, I will be honest, it became very real for me the past, 36 hours kind of like I didn't think it was and then it just all of a sudden, really got intense, and it is hard to see and a little bit surreal, very surreal.
Yeah. Actually. Well, you just think with the fire, like we're going to extinguish it.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
you know what I mean? Like, it's just like we're conditioned to be like, oh yeah, like we have like figured out how to solve it, especially in a major metropolitan city.
Yeah, and it's scary, and they say these winds, the timing of things, right? These winds being up to 100 miles per hour, and you just see this stuff up close. And my brother's a firefighter, and it's just, I don't know, it's all hard to wrap your head around. And so sometimes it's hard to be like, oh, we sit here and talk about tech and we pontificate and this is happening.
Yeah. Totally. I got a couple of friends that are hotshots and that go after like the wildfires that went to high school with me. And the photos I'm seeing out of the Palisades is like it reminds me of like the Paradise Fire a couple of years ago.
Totally.
And it's the fucking Palisades. Like, I don't know. For me, I'm still having, to your point, like I'm having a hard time comprehending it still. Like it doesn't make sense. And, anyways, like there's a lot of stuff that we should get to on this topic eventually, but today I just want to get to like everybody, like we're thinking of you. And if you need something, like ping us, like we would love to help you.
For sure.
So, all right, Kelli, let's get to a segment here. Let's do a little Dear Heretics.
Love Dear Heretics.
I think you love it because it was a great idea of yours.
It's a great concept.
All right, here we go. I'll read in. Sorry. All right. Hi, Kelli and Nolan. I'm an HRBP at a big tech company and find so much value in your podcast. This is like the stroking the ego thing. Always do this when you send us emails. We love this more than anything. I really appreciate the frank and honest conversation. Yeah. Okay. So my question is related to performance management. What are your thoughts on mandated, unregretted attrition targets? I believe in the need for consistent performance management and that what gets measured gets done. I've observed these mandated targets drive poor behavior from frontline managers. Behaviors such as not genuinely coaching an employee, over-indexing on one metric rather than holistically looking at the performance compared to expectations for the role level, lack of ownership from frontline managers who feel forced to meet a target. What have you seen done well? What are the downsides to these targets? How can an HRBP show up best in these discussions and help managers get to the right outcomes? What's your take, Kelli?
Yeah, this has been an ongoing conversation, right, Nolan? I mean, since I started in this industry, in this function 24 years ago, it's been a topic. And like anything, I really don't think there's one right answer or not. The question is, why are we doing this? And I do think I have seen that lack of forcing or whatnot. We've said it before on this show that people don't like giving hard feedback. It's hard for people, right? And so I do actually think that mandating that we do need to talk about who's under the bar and what that bar means and what that looks like is helpful. I actually do. Now, what's not helpful, when I think a lot of companies do, is take this on absolute terms, right? Let's just rank everyone and make decisions and show it. I think what you have to do with something like this is fuse in context and individual situations and what the certain dynamics are surrounding about individual are. You know what I mean? But if an organization's like everyone's great, that's not that. I don't agree with that. And I do think that a lot of companies that aren't good at this, in the absence of something like this, everyone will be meets or great. I have seen that.
Yeah.
So I actually like it, but I like it because it forces conversation, not because you rank everyone on paper and you fire the ones that are out immediately. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Let me tell you how let me guess how this showed up to the person who wrote in. She's like sitting at her desk, having a great day, enjoying her coffee. And the CEO's like slacks her, like, hey, come into my office. I have an idea. And she walks in and the CEO's like, I think we should remove the bottom 5% of the organization. And she's like, what the fuck? And I think this is what when CEOs or leaders say stuff like this, what I have found is that what they say is not actually exactly what they mean. And our job, specifically in HR and people ops, is to massage that into a way that makes sense for the business and the people. And so an example of this where it's really not done well, but they get away with it because they have like incredible product market fit, is Tesla. Every year at Tesla, they do a 10% RIF of the company. And it's just like, boom, get out of here. There's never any feedback delivered. Colleen has talked about this on the show, Kelly, and she's called it like the Weight Watchers crash diet. And it's the perfect analogy. It's not done well. Tesla's culture is a little bit of a culture in fear. And so like, that's the second order of like, if you run it that way, the benefit is you can move super fast. You can just like blanket cut people. The challenge is that you're going to have people living in fear. And I always say, treat people the way you want to be treated. You would never want to be treated that way if you didn't know how you were performing. So that's one way to do it.
Hey everyone, we'll be right back in a moment after a word from our sponsors.
I must admit, I used to believe that AI didn't actually exist in recruiting or HR. That is until my friend Heather Doche, who leads talent at Signalfire, told me to check out Metaview. I got into the product and was like, wow, AI actually does exist in recruiting, and this product is sick. Metaview is the world's #1 AI scribe built specifically for recruiting. Their AI records and transcribes hiring conversations, like intakes, interviews, and debriefs, then provides perfectly summarized notes of everything that was discussed. I've seen firsthand how tough it can be to extract consistently high-quality data from candidate conversations. I've been in debriefs where interviewers told us about their feelings instead of what actually happened in the interview. And I've seen VPs and CEOs block hires because they didn't learn anything from skeleton scorecards. Metaview changes everything. With perfect notes from every conversation, your people can focus on creating a human connection with candidates, and they can save time on the busy work of cleaning up notes after every interview. But it's so much more than just a time saver, because perfect notes means perfect data. For every candidate and every pipeline, hiring teams can make confident, informed decisions, and talent leaders can finally take control of the interview process. Metaview covers all your compliance needs, works with all your existing tools, and takes less than 3 minutes to set up. Join talent leaders at organizations like Brex, Deal, HelloFresh, and Quora, and check out Metaview. Head over to metaview.ai/heretics to talk to one of Metaview's product experts. Tell them that me and Kelly sent you. Or you could just go to their website and get started for free. You'll be up, running, and AI-enabled in minutes.
Now,
though,
the dirty little secret about that, friends, is that is not done under the umbrella of performance management, right? Those 10% RIFs are usually done under the umbrella of RIFs due to job eliminations, redundancy. Obviously, performance is a factor in deciding who, one of many. But I just want to be clear about that, because some might say, oh, take the bottom 5% and RIF them. The path to doing that is not through performance management.
You mean is not through just like riffing?
The path to cutting those 10% immediately, like Tesla, is done through a RIF that is determined by usually job eliminations due to redundancy. Or
they're categorizing it that way, and they're eating the bullet that they can't hire that role back for 6 months, but then they typically are. So like, let's be honest about what's like actually happening there.
Yeah. So I'm just saying
you're right.
They're solving for an apple, and to solve for the apple, they eat an orange is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. So then here's what I would do in this situation, and how I have responded in these situations when it's come to me is, okay, I got it. Like, let me have a think on it, and I'll come back and present you a plan. Then when I go think, what I'm really thinking about is like, how do I package this in a way that is right for the business and right for the people? And it typically sounds something like this. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. CEO, I had to think, and here's the way I think we can eliminate the bottom percentage of the company while also ensuring that we deliver feedback to our top performers so they know that they're doing super well, to tell our middle of the pack performers what they need to do to become top performers. And then for our bottom performers to give them enough time to see if they turn it around. Otherwise, we manage them out. And this is what that plan looks like. Yeah. I think oftentimes we get so caught up in the moment of like, go fire the bottom 5% and the fight or flight response that puts us in, that we don't think clearly. And so my number one piece of feedback to somebody who's in this situation is to take a breath. Like, tell them you're on it, go sleep on it, wake up early in the morning and write down exactly how you would do it if you were to be doing it the best way possible. And then go present that as the plan with the trade-offs of doing it that way versus Elon's way.
Yeah. And I would add, write down why you're doing it. What does this tie into?
Exactly.
Why are you even thinking about how to do this? Because that's the point. And I love what you said, because I gave this feedback to so many people about founder CEOs in the past. I'm like, listen, because let's just pick a name I haven't worked with. Because Janet says jump, the worst thing you can do is jump when Janet says jump. Because you will jump and they'll be like, what did you do? All this stuff went wrong and all this is messed up. You told me to jump. Yeah, but I didn't mean like jump. So the best thing you can do, to use your words, when that happens is take a breath, internalize it for yourself, have a point of view, because you can't do anything to get close to what they're saying unless you actually have your own point of view on how to get there. Because a CEO, and you're totally right, this is how it happens. Hey, we gotta cut the bottom 5%. They have no idea what it takes to cross that bridge and all the complexities, complications, and risks, legal or cultural, in doing so. And that's your job, is to translate that in a way where they can actually swallow it.
The other thing I'll add, so you say the why. I always find it's like really helpful for a CEO when I can reframe the problem they're trying to solve. So like when somebody's like, when a CEO says, when Janet says, hey, fire the bottom 5%, and you have a think on it, you come back the next day. I think actually the way you start this is like, Janet, I think the problem we're solving is that we've gotten too bloated.
Totally.
Right.
Which is another version of the why.
Yeah, exactly. But that framing for me is like, that solves so many problems, because Janet feels heard.
Yes.
Right. And then because Janet feels heard, she's trusting you that you're going to go execute on her. She doesn't give a shit about the details.
Totally.
Like, she wants the problem solved.
And if I'm internalizing a lot of this audience, the details of these very trite, like, high level phrases that CEOs throw out, we all go through the details in our heads like white light. Like, it all goes through so fast, and that causes us anxiety. and that causes us worry. And then we present that back to the CEO in the moment, and they see us as no people, as tactical, as police. And that's what I think the issue is. And so to your point of taking a breath, reframing, thinking about their why, the next day going side by side with them, holding hands with them and guiding them down the path versus kind of butting heads in the moment with your anxiety. That's valid. That's the dirty secret. This is all valid.
Exactly.
This is how you influence in these situations. And, you know, I think a lot of us have had this, Nolan, like pre-pandemic, pre-macro environment kind of slowing. Everyone was happy, making money. Things kind of loosened up. And we heard this from boards the past 3 years. You've gotten too nice. You've gotten too lazy. Clamp down. And for a lot of companies, that's going from 0 to 100, where you're seeing these statements of like, we never did this before. Now go fire the bottom 5%.
Totally. The no person comment, by the way, like I think is like more, it's the worst person. It's the worst version of yourself you can be to the CEO. Because when you get branded as the team of no or the person of no, it's a matter of time before that bullseye on your back gets so big that they're going to find you.
Yeah.
And Andrew Bartlow, our friend Andrew Bartlow, calls it HR Island. And that's how you end up on HR Island, is if you just say, no, we can't do this.
Yeah. And it's really sad because most of the time those people are right. Like that's the bitch of it, is that all the reasons you're feeling that anxiety and that like it's actually correct, but it's a matter of not being right. It's being effective. And so how can you take all that, merge it with what the CEO is saying they want, and create a third door? Like that's the goal.
That's the art.
That's the art. That's all I got. That's a great question. Keep it coming, everyone. Dear Heretics, send us LinkedIn emails. You can reach me at least directly on my website. We love these. Please keep them coming.
Yep. Keep them coming. See you guys.
HR Heretics is a podcast from Turpentine, the network behind Econ 102, Moment of Zen, and Turpentine VC. Subscribe, 5 stars, share it on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, all the things.